So
Yeah.
last time we talked with you, well, a lot has happened since the last time we spoke with you. I saw you listening keenly to the finance minister's presentation because
It
you
was
guys
lovely.
just had a big budget presentation as well. So
Yes.
give us an update on how things are going in Guyana right now.
All right. Well, I know one of the things you love to speak about with regards to Guyana is the oil. So I'll start off there. But I'll just give an asterisk and say, Guyana is not only oil, right? It's uplifting all the other sectors. All right. So just to get into that, right? We are predicting a GDP growth of 34.3%. All right, with non-oil growth being 11.9. All right. The Natural Resource Fund shows that we have about 442 billion Guyana dollars inside. And just for context, right? I think one Jamaican dollar is 1.3 Guyana dollars, right? So just to let you know how much is in that pot, right, in the Natural Resource Fund, and all that has been from oil, right, either through royalties or profit sharing. All right. And so just to add on to that, so since about 2019, Guyana has been receiving about 1 billion US per year into the Natural Resource Fund. And we have been every budget, right? We've been passing legislation to get money withdrawn from that, and we've been using it. Um, One thing I'd like to note, right? Guyana is also signing on to quite a lot of loans from IDB, World Bank, and these things. And I suppose that's because our credit worthiness has gone up in the wake of these new this big influx of cash coming in from the Natural Resource Fund, which comes from the oil. One thing that's peripheral to the oil sector is the local content. All right, all these companies in Guyana operating, like ExxonMobil and all the tier one suppliers to ExxonMobil and all the other companies, Hess, CNOOC, which is the Chinese companies. All right, Guyana has passed. I think one of the major things that has come up since we last spoke is this thorny issue of local content, right? Which is a bit of a protectionist legislation to ensure that Guyanese companies that supply those sectors are able to benefit, right? So we have protected percentages by which these companies must pull, all right, from the Guyanese market to get things done, right, rather than rely on their overseas suppliers of things. So that's one thing that's been helping to boost the economy, right, as a spin-off or as a direct spin-off from oil and gas activities. All right. What more can I say about the oil? One thing I wanted to contextualize is our oil production. All right. Of course, since we started in 2019, our monthly and yearly oil production just keeps going up and up and up. But I don't think anybody has really put given it context, because when you hear things like 100,000 barrels, 500,000 barrels, 600,000 barrels per day, I mean, as an absolute value, right? Fine, but how does that stack up comparatively? And I think that's one of the things I wanted to just put out here, right? So just for context, all right. Again, currently Guyana has about 11 billion barrels of oil proven, right? And we're currently pumping about 600,000 barrels per day. Right? In 2027, Guyana will be pumping 1.3 million barrels of oil per day, right? Now, Brazil is about 2.8 million barrels per day. Russia is 11 million. China is 4 million barrels per day. India is 700,000 barrels per day. And Saudi Arabia is 9 million barrels per day. So in 3 years from now, Guyana will be about 1.3 million barrels per day. So I think that context really helps to put into perspective, right? Like how major
Mm-hmm.
player Guyana is, in what, in the last 5 years or so. How we've risen to the top. We're above Mexico, all right, which has access to the Gulf of Mexico and all those deep water um activities. And so that I just wanted to speak on that. All right, so that's about it for the oil. You mentioned the budget. We did pass
Oh, before you move on
a
from the
budget.
oil, well, it kind of connects to the budget because
Yeah.
a lot of budget is being financed from this oil fund that you mentioned. Are the
Yes.
people feeling the impact of all of this?
You had the same question the last time, and I'm prepared for it. But I have a more philosophical perspective, right? Um, if you Guyana has about 800,000 people, right? And if you ask every single person, they'll give you a different answer. What I can give you is my answer, and based on some, if Kalilah, you're one of the persons that know me well in this world of finance here, right? I'm a financial absolutist, and this is one of the things I mentioned the last time that I was here, is that if you have boats in the dock, right, as the tide comes in, it's going to raise all the boats. But for you to get the benefit of the rising tide, you have to have a boat. All right. So you have to be, a working member of society. You have to have a business, right? One of the other ways that you can get the benefit is to be part of what is it? A beneficiary of some of these social programs, which Guyana has the government that's in power now has a very statist ideology, right? So they've put a lot of social net programs in place. So you'll get benefits from there. But I always say, right, if you want to participate, you gotta have to have a boat in the water, a business, or you gotta be in the industry or some peripheral industry. So there are many ways that you can get benefit out of the activity that's going on. One of the other ways that you can get benefit is just through I don't want to, I mean, this will seem very rudimentary, but just simply existing in part of Guyana's economy. For example, if you spend $1 into Guyana's infrastructure, it generates $1.3 in economic output, all right, which the citizens can enjoy. But of course, all these things I'm saying have a very political lens attached to it, all right, because I don't know what the political climate is like in Jamaica. But as I think you and the rest of the world know, Guyana is a very spicy political place, right? With
Oh
what went
yes.
down in 2020. So, like, the answer to that question also has to do with how you perceive it politically. The PPP government is in power, which has been traditionally supported by the Indian class, right? People who look like me, for example. I'm not saying I support the PPP. I'm not going to say who I support, but if you speak to people like them, they'll have positive things to say. If you speak to somebody who has a next political perspective, they're going to say Guyana is in the trenches. It's burning. Everything is on fire. So it's hard to answer that, but I just know from an economic standpoint what is happening and maybe how some things can trickle down. I still do have some reservations as to how some of the things are being managed, but they're healthy reservations. And as a free thinker, all right, for example, I was saying Guyana is signing on to quite a lot of loans, all right, but I guess that's part of our credit worthiness increasing, but I'm still very cautious of it and how we manage it. But I guess those in power probably have better view of the numbers, right?
So the last video I did on Guyana was about the budget, Guyana's
Yeah.
first $1 trillion budget. And I got a lot of viewers from Guyana commenting on that. We had 330,000 views on that video.
Mhm.
And a lot of the people who were commenting were saying, okay, they have all this money, but they're not paying teachers. And that
Oh
kept
yeah.
coming up over and over. What's the issue going on with teachers?
Right. Again, so teachers have traditionally, I mean, we make no bones about it, right? Traditionally, teachers in Guyana have been, yeah, I mean, like, to be honest, like a bunch of other sectors. Some would say even the nurses are worse off, right? But teachers in general have always had a very strong unionization, right? That has agitated and pushed for increases in salary, particularly every time budget comes around. One thing I would like to mention, the head of the Guyana Teachers Union is a member of parliament for the opposition party. So again, going back to the politics of it, and that's what you'll hear coming out, buzzing, right, with this whole thing with the teachers. But politics aside, teachers, yes, they do deserve an increase in pay, right? But again, the economists or the financial person will ask, well, where is it going to come from? All right, and this is one of the things Nigel Clark was, that's his name, right?
Right.
He was speaking about if you dropped it, was a GCT, then all
Yes.
the other sectors are going to want the GCT drop. One of the things President Ali was mentioning is that he's just asking the teachers to be patient. In the meantime, I think the Ministry of Education in Guyana has put a lot of other non-financial provisions and even some financial provisions in place to buffer cost of living increases. And so I don't really have the details of that, but I think there was a negotiation between the Guyana Teachers Union and the Ministry of Education where there was a 23 out of 28-point plan that has been accepted. So there is progress there, but again, there's a political element to this that I don't want to comment too strongly on, but I think just like the nurses, they will get there at some point, I suppose,
How
right?
how how patient? Because I saw in the comments they're saying most teachers make less than 100,000 Guyanese dollars a year. And guys, JMD is stronger than the Guyanese dollar right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
100,000 is worth even less in Guyana. So
Actually, I'm not sure that most teachers make less than 100 because I know teacher trainees at the Cyril Potter College of Education, they're making 99,000 a month in stipend only. So I'm guessing once you've been qualified, it goes up. So frankly, I can't say where the numbers are if it is 100,000 now. But I just know a trainee makes 99, so I'm guessing a teacher would make more. But
right.
the bottom line is, of course, it needs to increase. The president has said himself, yes, it will increase. One of the things he was talking about when he was saying how patient or please be patient in 2027, Guyana will have paid off quite a lot of there's something called cost recovery with these oil companies that they're doing, and by 2027 quite a lot of it will be paid off, so that will open the avenue for even more income to come into Guyana's pocket. And I think some of that is going to be filtered down to the nurses, the teachers, the doctors, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's some of the medium term perspective on that when it's coming.
Yeah, I definitely need to visit your country soon. I need to do some work over in Guyana.
No, it
A
sounds
couple
like Jamaica
comments.
is doing excellent.
Yeah, a couple comments. Iron Lady says, time for Jamaica business people to be in Guyana. I'm trying to buy property in Guyana. Guyana is the next Dubai. Tyrone says, what are the steps to a Jamaican Guyanese dual citizenship?
Well, I think one of the very popular Jamaican companies is already here,
Which
NCB
one?
Capital or something like that.
NCB is in Guyana.
Yeah, they opened the office here about a year and a half ago.
Yes, I remember
Yeah,
hearing that indeed. NCB
yeah.
cap. And then we had Prosperity saying JMD is higher than the Guyanese dollar, so Jamaicans can invest in Guyana and get a higher return. So some excitement over here, Uni.
Yes, yes.
Thanks
You
for Guyana update.